Hello lovely people, and welcome back to my channel. So this video is part 2 in my anatomy practice series. I'm essentially going back to the basics and practicing anatomy drawing. Last week, or last time, I did some eyes practice, and today we are going to be working on the nose. So generally I find eyes a lot more interesting to draw because there's a lot more detail that goes into them, a lot more elements that goes into them. The nose is just kind of a very basic, simple shape. It doesn't really look like a nose until you start adding shading, at least not to me. And maybe that's something that I need to work on, simplifying the nose and making it look more like a nose before you get to all the shading parts. This series was in part inspired by portrait sketchbooking course by Gabriella Nico, a course that is on Domestika. This video is not sponsored by Domestika, but in her course, Gabriella, she kind of takes you through the basics of drawing a face. So she takes you through the proportions of a face, and then she breaks down how she draws eyes and noses and mouths, and then she provides these exercises for you to practice with. Full disclosure, this is not the first time I'm practicing drawing noses. I have done the exercises for her course already, and those are in previous pages on my sketchbook. And so the noses that I'm drawing here are from references that I found on Pinterest. And I think they're quite popular references. I think I've seen these references drawn a few times. But if you're interested in checking out any of my references, I have a Pinterest board just full of photo references broken down by profile, skin tone, age, and you can check it out. That's all linked to the description below. So how I draw a nose is I try to break it down into simple shapes. And the simple shapes I use end up being a collaboration of a triangle, a rhombus, and some circles. So I essentially draw out the triangle shape, add a rhombus at the bottom, which is where the nostrils will be, and then I add some circles so that I don't forget that noses and nostrils have some roundness to them. And then I work my way around the outside and put that all together, which you can kind of see in my sketching, but I'm practicing sketching lightly, so my sketching isn't that easy to see. But I've also inserted a digital practice of me drawing noses on Procreate on my iPad as well to see that more clearly. Something that rarely happens to me is that I was pleasantly surprised when coming back to edit this video and film this voiceover that my noses aren't that bad. I feel like when I was drawing them, I thought they were terrible, and I do still need to work on figuring out the planes of the nose and how to do more accurate shading that actually looks more like a nose. And definitely drawing nose from front facing was the hardest for me to make that look like something. But I was pleasantly surprised. And so I guess my takeaway from that is come back and look back at your old work. Maybe even if you're not making a YouTube video, film yourself working and look back at how you work. And don't forget to look back through your old sketchbooks. You might be pleasantly surprised at your skill level. And if you're not, then just keep practicing. You'll get better. found that lots of the references that Gabriella provides in her course were of very similar kinds of models, so I wanted to branch out and try drawing noses from a variety of different models. So the first two noses I drew were from black models, but then this nose is a Native American, an old man, and I just loved how prominent and strong his nose was. So it's good to branch out and try different styles and different shapes and just see where it takes you. And then I had to draw a nose facing, I had to make sure that I drew a 3/4 nose facing the opposite direction. I'm right-handed and I find it easiest to draw faces and nose facing towards the right. Would that be right? Towards my left when I'm looking down at it. And so I have to force myself to draw faces and noses in the opposite direction. And there you have it, those are my noses. I feel like at this point it's not a video from me unless there's lost footage, and there was definitely lost footage of that fifth and final nose, but it's okay. Anyway, thank you so much for watching and for hanging out on part 2 of this anatomy practice journey. Have a good day, good evening, or good night. Goodbye.